Hey guys, for today's video I'm going to show you how to make this super quick and easy birthday card using some materials you may already have at home. So let's go ahead and jump in. So for this card we're going to be using the Balloon Celebration, and I think this punch is called the Balloon Builder Punch or something like that. I'll link the actual name and the product number for you guys. These two items are in the new Occasions catalog. You can actually get them together as a bundle and save, and they are by far one of my favorite bundles so far. You can create a really simple and easy birthday card with pretty much no effort. It's really fun. It's quick and it's easy. So I'm going to move these off to the side. Let's go ahead and get started. So we're going to start working on the balloons first because that's really the main element of this card. The really fun thing about this card is you don't need very many supplies. The reason is that all of the balloons and this little flag here are all leftovers from the January paper pumpkin kit. If you go on over to my blog, I did a blog post 2-3 days ago showing you what I did with my paper pumpkin kit and what the kit is. Here, let me pull these over. In the kit, you get some hearts and some little flags, but you're left with these outlines. So I was looking and I thought, I can probably do something with that. So I decided to go ahead and make this little birthday card. So the first thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to take my punch and I'm going to, these two bigger sections here, you can actually get the balloons out of this section. And let me go ahead and rip this little part off so that it fits better. Sometimes you just have to finagle it and work with it a little bit. So there's those two. Let me rip that one off. Here are, let me see where these fit. Here are these two. So you get 4 balloons out of each little piece. I am using, this one is the light mint color, and then I'm also using the light gray color. For the sample that I just showed you, my practice card, I used the light gray, so this same gray, and then the light pink. Okay, so now that we have all of those punched out, I'm going to move that off to the side, and now we're going to start working with our stamp set. So to start off, I'm going to take these 2 outline stamps, and we're going to stamp the outlines on all of these balloons using our archival basic black ink. When I did this card before, I did 2 of each size, so you have 4 big ones and 4 small ones, and I did 2 with the pattern and 2 that are plain, and then I did 1 of each color, so I have 1 mint that's plain, 1 mint that's striped, and vice versa. So I'm just going to pick which ones I want. I just kind of went with whichever one looked the best to me, and that's what I went with. So I'm going to grab my C block, and I'm going to mount the smaller outline, and then I'm going to grab my D block, mount up the larger one. And like I said, we're just going to use the archival basic black ink, and we're going to go ahead and stamp these. Okay, so now that all of the big ones are stamped, I'm actually going to use, I have my scrubbing, what is this called? Stampin Scrub, this guy. I have it off to the side. I like to clean my stamps right away. It just makes me feel better. And we're going to be using these, now I'm throwing stuff. we're going to be using those blocks in just a second. These little balloons, this little outline stamp, I'm telling you, this is the hardest thing for me to stamp. It takes a lot of concentration. That's why I wasn't talking, because it takes a lot of concentration. I actually did that set better than I did in my practice one. I didn't do very well with those. Okay, so we're done with our archival ink for right now. Then the next thing that we're going to do, so I'm going to take the ones that have the patterns and I'm just going to move them off to the side really fast. Then the ones that are plain, we are going to make these a little more interesting. So I'm just going to take a regular piece of copy paper. It had some stuff printed on the other side that I had for work, so it's just a scratch piece of paper. And I am going to go back to my stamp set. And then these little guys that are like kind of confetti, I'm going to pull both of these off. And we're going to use the same block, so C block, and the D block. I'm just going to put these outline stamps back. Okay, so I'm going to mount these up. And I'm going to do these in little sets. I'm also going to grab some tweezers because those are going to be helpful in just a second. So we'll work with the small ones first. And I'm going to be using VersaMark ink. If you don't know what VersaMark ink is, it's just a really sticky ink, so it's really good for heat embossing. And then we're going to be using the Stampin' Emboss clear embossing powder. So I like to get all of my stuff ready. Ooh, that has a huge chunk in it. Just break that up a little bit. I like to get all of my stuff ready so that once I stamp and I'm ready to put the embossing powder on, it's pretty instantaneously. Usually with VersaMark you don't have to be super fast, but I always get nervous. So I'm just going to ink this up really well and then just stamp it in the bottom corner, or the bottom half. I don't know what you want to call that. Again, ooh, I didn't do that one perfectly, but these don't have to be perfect. And then you're just going to sprinkle the embossing powder on. And the reason that I liked my tweezers, well, maybe now I can't do it. Let me see. I have this little spatula guy. Or maybe I just can't do it. Okay, there we go. The reason I liked the tweezers is because you really need something to get in there and pick up that piece of paper. So it looks like I have, you probably can't tell, but I have a little bit of embossing powder right here. If that ever happens to you, just take a dry paintbrush and you can just flick it off. Since this is clear, it's not going to matter a ton because it's more so for decoration. It looks more like a watermark than anything else. I just stuck my hand in that little pile. It looks more like, ooh, a watermark, but it has a little more pizzazz. It just gives these plain balloons a little something extra. So I'm going to set those off to the side right now. I'm going to put the rest of my embossing powder back in, and now we're going to go ahead and do the two big balloons. Get my VersaMark back over here and stamp these guys down. Also, for those of you that don't know, this is called two-step stamping or multi-step stamping, when you use two different stamps on the same image. There's another really pretty multi-step stamping stamp set that was in the Occasions catalog. It's called Picture Perfect. It's one of my other favorites. I'll be doing a video with that soon, but I love two-step stamping just because you get more variety, you get more, I feel like it just adds a little bit of something to your projects. That's really super nice. Okay, so I'm just going to pour the rest of that in there. Cap this so that I don't knock it over, because that would be something I would do. Then we're just going to move all of these little guys back over. Like I said, it's really helpful to have tweezers or some kind of little tool to move your little balloons around right now, because you don't want to touch the embossing powder because you don't want it to go all over the place. So now I'm going to grab my embossing or my heat tool. This is the Stampin' Up! Heat tool. It's got 2 different settings. For heat embossing, we're going to use setting 2. The other thing, I'm going to use my tweezers to kind of hold it down because these are smaller images. I'm actually going to move these so they don't blow away. Because they're smaller images, I'm going to hold this down so they don't go all over the place. So again, we're going to be using the second setting, and I'm just going to use, ooh, sorry. There's weird, I haven't figured out lighting yet, so there's a couple of weird glares and some shadows, so I'm trying to help with that. So let me move this over here, and then we'll go ahead and heat set these. When you're first heating up your heat tool, you want to move it around a lot. Once it's heated up, it's not so bad. You can pretty much just hit it. But you want to move it around while it's heating up. And you can see that this one will be pretty quick. So right now, what is this? The embossing powder is pretty white, but once it changes to be translucent like that one just did, that means that it's all good to go. It's heat set and you are done. So I'm just going to do these last 2 really quick. And then one more. Oh, see, that's why you need little pliers or tweezers or something, so they don't start blowing away. Okay, so I'm going to set that off to the side. I'm going to clean my stamps again really fast. It's not, you don't have to do it right away. It's just, I like to do it. It makes me feel more comfortable to do it as I'm working rather than doing it after. And my heat is coming on, so you are now going to hear the heat. Okay, so we're going to put these little guys back, and we are almost done with this card. Okay, so my I have an acrylic desktop, and when I use my heat tool on it, it heats the acrylic up so it starts to bend a little bit, so sorry about that. Okay, so moving on, I'm going to be using this as my background. This is from the, oh, what is that called? It's the Shine On Specialty Designer Series paper from the Occasions catalog. This is cut at 3 3/4 by 5 inches, and this is going to be our first layer where we're going to put our little balloons. So again, I'm going to take one more stamp, and this block is the H block. I'm going to go ahead and put this on here. I'm going to grab, where is it? Here we are, my basic black again. This is a good project too because we're only using 2 stamp pads, a couple different colors of cardstock, and then like I said, for the balloons and the little banner that our sentiment is going to be on, if you got the paper pumpkin kit from January, you already have those. So my only not problem, but my only issue with basic black is that I don't feel like I can ever ink up my stamp well enough, so I have to kind of do it a couple times. So I'm just going to put this in hopefully the center. I'm going to center it as well as I can. It's a little wonky, but that's okay. I'll live. Then what I'm going to do is just take a couple of my balloons, and I'm just going to kind of finagle them, move them around, whatever you want to call it, and place them. The one that I did, the sample one that I showed you guys a minute ago, I only ended up using 7 of the 8 balloons. I can't remember. But I did 4 on the base layer, so I consider this the base layer. I did 4 on the base layer that I just kind of stuck down. So I'm just kind of moving them around, seeing what I like. And I think maybe I'll just do those 3 for right now. I don't know if I'm going to use all of the balloons again. So I'm just going to flip these little guys over. I'm going to use, this is the Taupe Mono permanent adhesive. Stampin' Up! Sells snail adhesive. You could use whatever kind of adhesive you want, really. You can use a liquid adhesive if you wanted to. It's just going to take longer to dry. So for this project and for most card making projects, I try and stay away from liquid glue, but you can do whatever you want. It's not, there's no rules in this. And I think I'm actually going to do one more little one flat over here just to give it a little something extra. Okay, so now I'm going to take my remaining balloons and I'm going to kind of figure out where I want these guys to go to. Yeah, see, I think 7 is a perfect number. So for these guys, I am going to be taking my Stampin Dimensionals. Again, you can get these from Stampin' Up. I'll put the name and the product code and all of that stuff. Everything that's used, or every Stampin' Up product I use in this project, I should say, will be linked on my blog. The coordinating blog post will be below. There's a link, you just go and click on the picture and it'll take you right to my online store. Anyways, so I did 2 on the big one and then 1 dimensional on the small one, and I'm just going to stick these on. I like doing a couple with dimensionals. I just think it gives it a little bit of something extra. So now you have your little balloon bouquet. I'm going to put this away because I am notorious for sticking my hand in the ink pad. So we're going to do that. Then the next thing, so on this one I used the bow that actually comes in the stamp set. You get this little tiny bow, and that's what I used for this one. To spice this one up a little bit, I'm going to be using some baker's twine. And again, this baker's twine is actually in the paper pumpkin kit, so you may have some of this left over. When I did mine, I did the full banner. They did 12 hearts in the sample project. I used 12 hearts. I used some of the baker's twine on the little treat bags that they had, and I still have this much left over. So you get a lot in your kit. So I decided it just matches really well. So I decided to go ahead and use some of this to do the bow instead of doing the little stamp. So I'm just going to tie a knot. I'm leaving myself enough room to make the bow. I'm just doing a tiny little guy. He doesn't have to be perfect. What? Come on. And then pull it to make it a little bit smaller. Okay. And I'm going to take some scissors and just snip these little tails off. And I need to fix him a little bit. And you just have to keep playing with it and messing around until you get it the way that you want. Perfect. Okay, so I'm actually going to use, forgot to grab these before I started. I'm going to use these little adhesive dots that came in the kit. If you read my blog post for my paper pumpkin, you'll see where I said that I absolutely hated these little guys. I do, but I don't have any mini glue dots right now, and I would prefer to use mini glue dots or like a liquid adhesive, but I'm just too impatient to wait. So I'm going to just stick that on, and those work perfectly. They're basically mini glue dots just on this little sheet, and they have a little backing. The reason that I don't like them is because they have this little backing and they're hard to get off of the sheet sometimes. Anyways, not the point. Okay. So I'm going to set this off to, actually, no, I'm not going to set it off to the side. I lied. So we are going to then take our next layer. This is a piece of Whisper White. It is cut at 4 inches by 5 1/4. And I'm going to take this guy. We're going to use some dimensionals again. And when I say some, I mean a lot. Because this cardstock, this special designer series paper, it's called, I think it's called Specialty DSP, designer series paper. It's really thick. So I'm going to be using a lot of dimensionals just to make sure that it stays, it doesn't sag. If you can see, it's kind of got a bend in it. So I tried to kind of work that out. But it is what it is right now. So I'm just going to center this up on my Whisper White. Man, it's okay. Good enough. Then I'm going to grab a piece of Tip Top Taupe, and it is cut at 8.5 by 5.5. I'm going to move this little guy off to the side really quick, and I'm just going to fold it in half to make our card base. Use my little bone folder, and I'm going to use my tape adhesive again. Use as much or as little as you want. I just like to make sure that things stick, so that's kind of how I do it. But everybody does their own thing, so you just do what makes you feel comfortable. Okay, so see, we are almost done. Now we just need to add our little sentiment. And again, I got this from the paper pumpkin. I just had a few of these left over. I didn't use all of the hearts. I didn't make a ton of the little treat bags, so I still have some of those to make. So this is just one of the, oh, I guess I can't show you because I ripped them off. These little banners, there was 2 per page in the paper pumpkin. So they have this little indent right here, this little score line, and that's where you are supposed to fold it over to make the little flag. I'm going to cut right on that line. So we're cutting that off. Then, oh, I was wondering where my block went, but it's over here because I didn't finish cleaning my stamp. Okay, so we are going to then grab our sentiment. And I'm throwing stuff on the floor. Let me see. I think I'm going to do Happy Birthday again. I was going to see if there was another sentiment that I liked better, but I think Happy Birthday is the right one for this one. And I'm just going to kind of finagle it and get the sentiment where I like it. My blocks are so dirty. I really need to clean them. Okay, so then I'm going to take my basic black again, get this all inked up, and I'm just going to, sorry if you can see my noggin, just going to stamp this down, pop it off, move my stamp out of the way, and oh my goodness, we are almost done. I'm just going to take a couple more dimensionals. I love dimensionals. They're super cheap and they work for just about everything. So they're my favorite. And I'm just going to put this right here. So that is it, guys. That is our simple, super fast, super easy birthday card. Hopefully you guys enjoyed this. Again, everything that I used in this project will be linked in the coordinating blog post, which will be down below. So hopefully you guys enjoyed this video, and I'll see you later. Bye!